Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grim Aftermath Show. And today we're going to go ahead and have a look at the Dice Star Championships X. Get some ideas, talk about it. I give my feedback on what is interesting in the classic constructed, but I also give my opinion on what cards could potentially see in the Blitz format for the upcoming skirmish season, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. Anyway, let's get to it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we got kalemccree's place. Now, he already did put out an article on the Rave Times, so he's definitely got the expertise when it comes to the Blitz deck format, and when it comes to Force and War, I figured you might be able to fit that in, but over the Disable or the Rembrandts, but I don't think that would be wise. I'm not 100% certain, so if you want to know what's good on the Blitz deck, I think his deck is tight on the Rave Times article, but I am definitely liking the interest, the versatility that Monarch has brought to the classic constructed format, and no more mechanologists. But also, I did pay attention to the stream, the video they put out on the Dark Star. And if you have a look right here, the Blessings of Deliverance did play a role in that matchup for sure. And while it's kind of difficult right now to pump up the Dread Scythe on on either a Viserai or even a Shane turn, I think Shane has the advantage when it comes to the Dread Scythe shutting off those Blessings of Deliverance. And the reason why I say that is because multiple chances of attacking can stretch a Guardian player's hand, and then he can end the turn with access to a swing with Dread Scythe. And if they don't block that, then it will shut off all those Blessings of Deliverance. Now, if you are curious as to how to pump the Blessings of the Dread Scythe right now, there is Oath of the Arknight from the Arcane Rising set, and that does not specify on attack actions. It says the next Runeblade attack. So you can definitely pump up the Dread Scythe, but that costs 2, and not only that, the Dread Scythe costs 3 to attack, so you're looking at 1, 2 free cards to be able to try to launch an attack, so that's not always ideal. It's not like we gotta raise our reflexes for scythes right now at the current moment, because if there was, I think it'd be much more efficient to try to get that off. But for now, Blessing's Deliverance is definitely a good choice. But I'm also very much interested in the out muscle right here, and I do like the aspect of the Gogan, and particularly depending on the meta. I don't know whether it's Blitz or for that matter. It's honestly hard to say what the meta is going to be right now for Classic Constructed and Blitz, but you might see some more out muscles coming in to get some more go again. Because if you don't fully block it, it gains go again. But also, I'm definitely liking the Spinal Crushes. More so now more than ever. Dominated Spinal Crushes. That could definitely do some damage, no doubt about it, and force blocks out of the opponent's hand. Out of Shane, or even Ninja for that matter. But what I'm finding incredibly spicy about this list, Forge for War. Now, I don't think you can fit it in the Blitz deck, but I have been wondering when this card might see some play, and while I highly suspect that this is specifically a sideboard card, it's not part of the main board, the way how Matt Rogers talks about, I would have to say that's really interesting because +1 to your armor equipment, and you draw up at the end of the turn, so all of a sudden you can set up a very powerful attack. For example, if you want to try a pummel plus one of these attacks, you can do some damage, especially the Crush the Weak right here, in combination with pummel for that matter. You can really inflict some damage upon ninja players for that matter, or even Shane for that matter, with the Crush the Weeks and Pummel combo. But Forge for War allows you to block more so with your equipment. Now, Stonewall Confidence right here. This is good for buffing up your attack action cards. Now, I would state that if you suspect they're going to have a crazy turn, and well, that's kind of hard to say simply because Guardian only attacks once per turn, but I think Stonewall Confidence can definitely help you out. In particular, for if you're going up against a deck that likes to swing with one big attack, I believe Stonewall Confidence can help in that regard. Simply because if you're blocking with one card, then they don't have various ways of go again. You can preserve your hand and make it so you're coming in with a free cards plus the arsenal, for that matter. Next one. Now we got Mr. danmckay at second place. And what do I find very interesting about this build here is, if you look at the yellow pitch cards, he's got 39 cards. Blue pitch cards, 21. Now, I looked at the stream, and you might think you're attacking multiple times, trying to trigger the Luminaris pitching. Now, I honestly thought you were going to need to fill your deck with 90%, but however the way the Prism plays, we could definitely know we can put a decent amount of blue cards and not heavily rely on the yellow. And sure, the yellow can come in clutch situations for launching multiple attacks. We know now you don't need to have 90% of your deck yellows. And that's very critical, especially for stuff like Phantasmaclasm, because it can be rather difficult, because you need to be able to block two in this format as well. And oftentimes, trying to pitch 2 cards plus playing a Phantasmaclasm of yellows might not be always ideal. However, I do believe the Arclight Sentinel definitely has some roles to play, not just in Classic Constructed, but Blitz as well. As you might have noticed, Tall Dory is still running around, even with Oremphia, with Howard number 9, Davis Kingsley. I'm sure he's not going to want to see a Arclight Sentinel come down when he activates Crucible, Courage of Bladehold, or for that matter, playing Steel Blade Supremacy, because the moment they do that, Arclight Sentinel comes down and ooh man, you just got rid of their clutch turn. Anytime you see a Courage or even a Steel Blade Supremacy, oh, you just ruined their day on a very big payday banking situation because of that. And if that does occur more so often, I wouldn't be surprised to see some more Time Snap Potion. However, I'm not only entirely certain as to whether or not we will see a heavy aura build. For example, all these Spectra auras like Genesis, Merciful Retribution, Old Wrath, or for that matter, in Blitz formats. It's hard to say right now, but I do know we don't have to use the heavy amount of soul, and I would have to say Celestial Catalysm is certainly a powerful thing, and there's quite a few things you can do with this build. And once, of course, the Monarch Unlimited onto stateside, we can certainly look forward to the Phantasmal Footsteps, that's for sure, no doubt about that. Because more cracks will get cracked, and people are going to try to dig. Because I believe Prism, it hasn't hit much of a splash when it comes to the Blitz format, but I think it's definitely underrated, and it definitely has a role to play. And not just Luminaris builds, I also do firmly believe the Iris, the token weapon, also has a role to play for that matter. But this is definitely a solid list right here for classic constructed, and I'm very much glad it showed up because I'm not gonna tell you, but I don't like Dash at all, not at all. But now here's where it gets really spicy, I'm not gonna lie. Oh man, there are so many ideas that you can transport, whether it's the classic constructor or blitz. Let's take a look at that Sonata Arcanix. Even in Shane, it becomes a draw spell because of the heavy amount of blues, particularly if you're playing even Mr. Rogers' build. He had a heavy amount that he's shown in his Fabwood Matt with his host Aaron Newson, I believe. But I do believe Sonata Arcanix has so many roles to play. You could play it in an OTK build. You can put it in a heavy blue mid-range deck and have it act as value. And guess what? This does not require a Mage Master boots to give it Gogan. It has Gogan automatically. But Sonata Arcanix, OTK builds. I mean, there's so many things you can put this into. And even Viserai has some options, because I looked up the Flesh and Blood rule page on Facebook, and what you're not realizing here is Blood Sheep Skeleton. If you got 20 rune chants, you can put X as 10, so 13 cards. That is an incredibly stormy card, I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know how they built that in Blitz format, but I think there's a reason why Dreadscythe is. As you all remember, there was also the you remember the OTK Viserai decks, the one that wanted to stall and gain life because it was running 2 sets of Sigil Solace, then the Sun card that gained you free life. That kind of stall deck while you build up your rune chants, and then you play Shackles. I mean, Chains of Eminence. Yeah, that's the card to restrict what they block with. That can definitely fit in that kind of style of deck, Sonata Arcanix. But it's rather interesting in how you're gonna build it up. But going that, I don't think you can go that kind of route. I think you definitely need to run. However, I think you can play a hybrid, for that matter, involving go tall heavy is more specifically. Go in a build direction that's very much similar to how you play Slogism into Arknight Ascendancy kind of style deck. That kind of style deck would definitely have some plays for sure, because Arknight Ascendancy plus it has Dominate, and if you put Slogism on it, it's definitely going to hit like a hurricane train. No doubt about that. But definitely liking the amount of Seeping Shadows Mr. Jason Long's running. I've played against good old Andrew Yager quite a bit, and his heavy Dreadscythe build with the Blitz Shane deck. That definitely has some play to it, no doubt about that. But another thing I'm really loving the introduction is the Time Snap potion that I'm hovering around. That right there is not bad of an idea, especially in the Blitz format, because early on when you're soul shackling yourself, which I've done quite a bit, you're not really hitting into haymakers until you start hitting, if you're soul shackling 3 or 4 blood depth cards. And for those situations, Time Snap Potion can extend your plays based on what you draw at the end of the turn. If you're heavy on blues and you're able to get a decent amount of attacks and you see a decent amount of blood depth cards, Time Snap Potion represents 2 actions on top of Shane, so that's 3 attacks. And if we got Seeping Shadow in the mix of that, that can just as much be deadlier. And if you got more cards being blood depth away, if you got more cards being banished and they're blood depth cards, you can have an incredibly insane turn. And Time Snap Potion is not bad of an idea because of the various ways of go-gens with this deck, but depending on how you build your Blitz deck, and if you include heavy amounts of this, you can definitely do some damage, no doubt about that. I'm certainly looking forward to what people do with Sonata Arcanix, not just from a Shane perspective, but Viserai as well. And it's hard to say with the Dimensional Crossroads where that might fit in the Blitz format. I'm not certain, but maybe a grindy deck that wants to launch very big attacks, stuff like that. But let's have a look at the next one. Rory Milne, top 4. Now, this is a rather interesting build. I love the fact that he's playing Nourishing Emptiness. I have 2 in my Blitz deck right now. I love it. Can't get enough of it, and I'm definitely playtesting quite a bit. And I'm certainly looking forward to playing some more Blitz with the Nourishing Emptiness. It's a rather unique card in this style build because they're hardly running any attacks. More often than not, they have dominated in the early stages. But there's also the fact this guy's playing Plow Through. Plow Through? You have got to be kidding me. That is a great, excellent inclusion. No doubt about that. But other than that, this looks like your standard mill. It has some respect for the Prism matchup, but I definitely don't mind this list at all. But let's look at this. Now, I'm not certain if that's a typo down below. Williams Broken's top 4. Now, I did see a lot of 4-1s, so this might be a tiebreaker situation. Not whole entirely certain if there's a tiebreaker situation when it comes to top 4, because this is the 5th deck list I've shown you right now. But now there's not a whole lot of new cards in this. I do see the Life for Life, and that's a rather interesting choice, but I think it's also good for extinguent plays. He put it in there. I think that's a sideboard tech against a certain deck, but due to Ragnar's nature, he's bound to take some damage because you gotta discard some cards. And those Life for Life allows you to extend the plays while at the same time gaining some life at the same time, because more often than not, opponent's not gonna want to block simply because Ragnar can do much more bigger plays with his brutish attacks than it is for someone to block a Life for Life. So they also recognize that. Now, I am definitely seeing R Smash, and despite the fact that Mechanologist Dash is not hardly in the format, I don't think I did see any deck lists so far yet for Mechanologist, but this definitely has some solid play, no doubt about that, because Time Snap Potion is still a thing, Energy Potion is still considered a thing too as well. But this list, Bonehead Barrier. He's definitely got a decent amount of defense. Now, I don't know if those are in the main deck or not, but this is a rather interesting build. And I'm seeing a swing first, think later. It's a singleton, it's a blue pitch. I think it's just in there because it blocks free, and sometimes it has some play, but it's probably a blue pitch card that he can use to pitch a little bit more. That's my guess. But anyway, this is definitely the way he built this is in response to Prism, no doubt about that. Let's have a look at David Marshall's list, and this is rather unique because you're gonna have a look and have a look. See, There's no blessings of deliverance. Where the heck is the blessing of deliverance? You gotta be kidding me. There are none. This is a heavy pummel build with a heavy amount of attacks. I mean, I've seen it. Go big or go tall. He has slammed. And not only that, look at that. There's a single towering titan. You gotta be kidding me. He does have rousing ancients, no doubt about that, but he has gone for a simplistic, oh, I'm gonna attack. I might have a pummel or a pint, might not, but this is a really interesting list, no doubt about that. Now, here is where the real spice comes from. Elijah Hewlett. That big little engine. Now, I've been meaning to put out a deck list because I do believe Bluto best fits the ninja format, the ninja decks for that matter. But I will say this: 24 cards, red cards, 4 yellow, and 43 blues. Now, he is running a heavy red minimalism and a singleton blue just in case he wants to fetch it out from pitch resources. I doubt he's ever playing that unless he's got nothing else better to do. 90% of the time, I think that blue minimalism is definitely blue pitch. And I do firmly believe that minimalism has a lot to offer to not just classic constructed ninja decks, but also blitz as well. Now, let me explain. If you were to put in a package, for example, an IRA, either, depending on your preference, you don't need to be running the red Little because it's only currently coming in for free. So it's not exactly taxing your opponent's resources. However, you can use this to get to lighten the load on how many blue pitch cards you got. Because if you put in minimalism blue and yellow, you can lighten the load on how much blue pitch you need. Which also means, guess what? You can put a bit more red cards in your deck to overwhelm the opponent for that matter. And that can be very powerful. To put more red cards and still have the consistency to launch multiple attacks, whether it's with double Kodachis for that matter in conjunction. And while launching multiple attacks, there's definitely some stuff you can do. No doubt about that. But this is a really interesting ninja deck right here. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how many people will incorporate the Little engine. And we got Mr. Daniel Richards here, who this is a go wide. Because if you look at the Scar for Scar, the Nourishing Emptiness, the E-Strike, and the Command and Conquer, this is a go wide warrior deck, and I am rather interested in seeing. He's got a heavy amount of ooh man, he's not running the blue warriors value, it's just the red and the yellow one. Very interesting. Very interesting. But he could definitely stretch the attacks out quite a bit. No doubt about that. And there's a singleton dust pack pilgrimage. That's essentially acting like a fork effect. Similar effect to Twinning Blade, but it's got to be able to hit. But I can definitely see the Dust Pack Pilgrimage being good when you draw it off Steel Blade Supremacy nut draw turns. That's for sure, no doubt about that. But I'm definitely liking the fact that he's gone to free cards when it comes to the Nourishing Emptiness. He's given it enough respect when it comes to the Prism matchup, no doubt about that, because Phantasm's definitely here to stay in Classic Constructed. It's hard to say how it's going to do in Blitz, but I think it definitely has a role to play for stretching out the meta. And it'll be interesting to see how the other classes match up, for example. And what the? Wait a minute, I'm seeing this pushed forward. He wants a bit more dominate in this deck on top of the... What the? Dude, I'm like, sure, it may pitch for one more, but if you want to use it, guess what? It costs you one more. I would have definitely gone with... that's an interesting split. I think he wanted more blue pitch cards just to make sure, because I'm only seeing a singleton of Iron Song Determination. So that's a really interesting choice right there. Could he be gotten away with having more dominated Iron Song Determination as a free up? Hard to say, but this is a very interesting build, no doubt about that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the Grim Aftermath show, and I'm certainly looking forward to being your provider for short, condensed videos when it comes to tournaments as opposed to podcasts, and getting to the point of what I think is good about skirmish or even classic constructed deck lists. But anyway, enjoy the grind.